for this one-year window, they would not be going up on, and they would not be penalized in the future. It would create 1,000 jobs that people would re-insulate their homes, put new windows and all these things. You know, if you do that now, the assessor's there on the door before you can start your project sometimes. And to me, that's not right. I'd also like to present the following thing on if people would build a new home, and a lot of them won't build a new home unless you give them a little tax break. Let them have, say, a 25 or 33% tax reduction, and just build a new home. They're still going to be paying taxes, but at least they'd give them a start. Try it for a year. Give them a one-year window shot at this. Hey, we need a jolt, some type to wake everybody up. And the last thing, I guess I feel this would make, I would also allow in that, when I said let people fix up their homes, I'd also let them add up to 100% more square footage to that home in the form of an addition in the house, add a garage, pole barn, or a shed. I'll tell you, I live in northern Wisconsin in the boondocks, but within a mile of my house, I had 5 people said, you know, I build a garage right now if I pay taxes on it. 4 of those people are in fixed incomes. It's a start.
Thank you. It's a very interesting proposal. I certainly take a look at the tax holiday on new construction. We want to encourage new construction, as you said, or additional construction. So thank you very much, and thanks for being here. I'll take one more question from each mic.
This is Tim from Two Harbors.
Thank you, Governor. You know, you've talked several times about the cutting of $2.7 billion from the last budget.
$2 billion to be
$2 billion. Okay, but that was increase above the previous budget. I mean, we tend to always talk about these cuts as if we're actually going backwards, but this is to the proposed increase. I wish we would start our budgets where they are currently and talk about how much we are going to increase them, rather than have an arbitrary amount that they're automatically going up and make it sound as if we're cutting backwards. This is not the way we do our budget. It shouldn't be the way the government does theirs. I mean, the last budget went from a little over $30 billion to $34 billion with the $2 billion that you were calling it cuts. That's not a cut, that's an increase. If I go to my boss and say I want a $1 raise and he gives me 50 cents, I don't say I got cut 50 cents. I got a raise. And these budgets are still going up, and they need to be portrayed as such. Thank you.
It's certainly a valid point. The budget is established by a nonpartisan Department of Management budget based on current law and what current law requires in terms of funding, for example, schools. School aid is per pupil. The number of pupils goes up, funding goes up. Projections on healthcare, again, under existing laws. The legislature can come in the next session and change the laws and affect it accordingly, which we did in 2011. And those cuts, if you look at the budget for higher education for the next 2 years, is exactly the same dollars as for these 2 years. And so are those other reductions that were made. They're carried forward. But you're right. They are in areas where the budget is increasing because of people, because of needs, whatever. Then you're right. It's a reduction in what would otherwise occur under current law. I mean, again, I go back to the 2000 to 2012 comparison before. I mean, if you look at the nominal current dollars, the number jumps up. I think it's about 40%. If you look at the real dollars after inflation is factored in, it's increased from 2000 to 2012 by 5% total, not per year, total. And population has grown by 9%. So you've got population.
But in those same terms, our dollars haven't gone up that way. Our budget, state budget, has gone up exponentially. It's gone up 40%.
Well,
our budgets, nobody here, or maybe some have, but I don't know many people whose income has gone up 40%.
Well, it hasn't gone up by 40%. That's the difference that we have. I don't think the facts support that. There are other factors. Let me just finish. I mean, I respect your point of view. We disagree. I would provide you with information. I don't think it'll change your mind. But I just want to point out, for example, from the last biennium to this one, there were $2 billion that came from the federal government's stimulus bill that we're not continuing. So that brought down the money, brought it up. The school shift. They brought down the money for the previous biennium, jacked it up in this one. So there are these different kind of, finaglings that have gone on before. We're not doing that anymore. We're not doing the budget games and gimmicks. So there'll be a more honest accounting and we're better able to compare from one to the next. But there are those kind of factors, and it's too much to get into tonight. But anyway, I understand your concern. I think every tax dollar is got to be as well spent as possible, and we need to be accountable to you, the taxpayer, for doing so. So, thank you.
Governor, back of the room with Jim from Duluth.
Thank you, Governor Dayton, for being here and letting our voices be heard. I also look forward to your next visit, so hopefully it won't be too long. I think everybody realizes how important small business is to the success of our economy and actually our national economy. And one of the gentlemen back here voiced a complaint about the regulation, and I totally understand that. I think if there can be anything done to focus on trying to reduce regulation, streamline, just anything that can make it a better environment for small businesses to thrive, I think is very, very important. And then you were mentioning the 2% richest Minnesotans, focus on them for some extra tax. I just don't see that being a problem if you're looking at what this country is founded on, making it good for the majority of the people. I think it just shows if you tax the richest 2% in the country or in the state, it just shows that those people they should recognize the opportunity they've had to be able to be in that 2% and to make a little bit of an extra contribution should not be something that is disappointing to them. It should open up an opportunity for them to for more ingenuity and different things that will actually help our country and our state more.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you. Very briefly, the context for the raising the tax on the 2% is right now, and this is again Commissioner Franz's Department of Revenue's analysis they do every 2 years. Middle-income families in Minnesota pay a 26% higher share of their incomes in state and local taxes than the wealthiest 1%. So we don't even have a flat tax in Minnesota, which has been advocated at the federal level. We have pretty flat tax across the spectrum from lower middle to upper middle income, and then steeply regressive, drops down for the top 5% and top 1%. So that's the context we're asking them to pay. They still won't bring them up to the same percentage as everybody else, but bring them closer. On small business, I couldn't agree with you more. I think I tried to make that point earlier about, first of all, the regulations, the overlapping jurisdictions. I mean, if I could wave one magic wand in government, how it functions, I would just eliminate that duplication, triplication, multiplication of all the overlapping requirements, and especially burdensome on small businesses because they don't have all the wherewithal to hire the specialists and the like. And the next session is the unsession. So, got my phone number, I hope by now. If you don't, for somebody else, but let me know where the burdens are. We've got Minnesota Pollution Control Agency now reducing its timeline for processing routine applications down to 90 days. We're working to get that better. We're working to eliminate a lot of these other areas where we got overlapping and words. I mean, I read through the bills probably more than anybody here. That's what I get paid to do. I'm glad to do it, but I'm not glad to do it, but I do it. But I mean, there's the words and how prescriptive it is, and all this stuff and everything else. When I was state U.S. Senator, the CEO of the Mayo Clinic told me that there are 110,000 pages of Medicare and Medicaid rules and regulations. I said I didn't have time to read them all, so I took his word for it. So I proposed an amendment that would have required the Secretary of Health and Human Services to reduce that number by 2/3 in a year. The theory being if it can't be said in 37,000 pages, it doesn't need to be said. I mean, but that's how extreme, it didn't